Welcome to the Self-Care Show with Deidre Sanford. Although holistic and alternative healing methods are becoming more and more mainstream, what method is right for you? How do you find a practitioner once you've chosen to explore an alternative therapy? Each week, Deidre will explore a different modality with practitioners who will explain their modality and the benefits they and their clients have received through their sessions. She and her guests may also offer live readings during the show. Now, your host of the Self-Care Show, Deidre Sanford.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Self-Care Show. My goodness, I guess I better get my mouth prepared a little earlier this morning. I am super excited to see everyone who comes to join us this morning. Those of you who are simply listening and aren't able to pop into the chat, you can choose to switch over to our YouTube show where you are able to pop into the chat and interact with us directly throughout the show. You can also always watch us right here on the WLTK-DB Facebook group and catch us later on Podbean on our replays. Happy Wednesday. It is December the 7th, just in case we all needed that reminder. And I'm finding myself, as many of you may be, thinking about where did this year go? How did we get to December 7th already? And as we age, we kind of find out that our parents were right when they kept saying, don't be in such a hurry to grow up. Isn't it funny how as we grow up and grow older, we learn our parents just get smarter and smarter? It's kind of an interesting way to look at that. They were always smart. We just weren't ready to hear what they had to say because we had to have that space to have our own experiences and learn on our own. Pop into the chat this morning and let me know how your worlds are. Let me know where you're popping in from to chat with us. You know, we talked last month an awful lot about fall and the changing of the seasons and how the changing of the seasons can direct us or make us feel as though we just kind of need to go within and reflect. And wow, late fall, heading into winter, the universal time for hibernation. And it's the final full moon of 2022, which kind of starts bringing us full circle a little bit. How many more signs of these energetic shifts do we all need to remind us that it's time to go within? We have a full moon. We're coming up on solstice as well. We'll be knee deep in winter before you know it. We're not necessarily all ready for it, but it's here, so we might as well run with it and just jump in the flow. Take the time to go within. It's like the universe is bashing us over the head with this message of hibernation, contemplation, self-reflection, and consider, all those goals that we all have in our minds, whether we set New Year's resolutions or not, right? We have goals, things I want to achieve this year. Where did that time go? Did I achieve the things that I wanted to achieve? And if not, how did I hold myself back? Not how did all these external forces prevent me from getting where I wanted to go, but how am I maybe holding myself back from achieving those goals? I don't know about the rest of you guys, but the last couple of weeks have been a very interesting roller coaster ride for me. Is anybody else feeling that way? It's not just the full moon coming up on the end of year, winter solstice, all of those things, but sometimes we ourselves can subconsciously or unconsciously suddenly wake up in December and say, wow, this year's over. What happened? And if you missed your mark, if you missed your goal, if you failed to plan a new goal, you thought about it, you didn't plan it, you didn't take very many steps forward, you might be kind of on a roller coaster of your own. It's crazy. We get overcome with these thoughts. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Do I still have time to achieve this goal? Maybe not just thoughts, but the emotions that accompany those thoughts. Incompletion, or celebration of the completions of the goals that you did achieve for yourself this year, the things you learned, the changes you made, the patterns you shifted. I'm not suggesting that we all missed our mark. I'm just asking, did you make it? And if you did you take time to celebrate the wins, no matter how small they were? Some of those emotions that can come up for us at this time of year can put us all on that roller coaster. So I'm just kind of curious to know who's riding in that car behind me on this amusement park ride that we call life. But there are often times that our bodies will feel those shifts and feel those emotions before our minds and our brains catch up with us. So how many of us actually take time to listen to our bodies and say, what is that stiff neck telling me? What is that maybe nervous or upset tummy telling me? It's really kind of a magical time to just sit back and observe, where am I? What is my body saying? How am I processing things? And how do I get to where I can gracefully navigate forward? Sometimes we end up with headaches. When I get a headache, I kind of have to ask myself, what am I overthinking? What am I mentally trying to force into my life? My knees hurt or my feet hurt. Where am I being stubborn and refusing to move? Think about it. When you're trying not to move, trying not to shift a pattern within yourself, trying not to shift a mental process, or perhaps allowing a mental process to keep you from reaching a goal, sometimes our knees can get stiff because we're being stubborn and we're locked in place, refusing to move. Or our feet can hurt. You know the expression, I'm digging my heels into this one. Yeah, maybe we don't need to dig our heels in quite so far. But man, if that universe is trying to drag you forward or backward, push you towards something, or keep you from stepping into something that might not be in your best interest, if you dig your heels in, man, you're getting pulled forward or backward, and your heels are eventually going to get tired of trying to grip our terra firma. It's quite so hardly. Maybe that's just not where you need to be standing. So that leads us into today's guest. It's important for us to pay attention to the signs that our bodies are giving us, because it tells us things that we may need to reevaluate and see what's going on. So I was really excited at the timing of JR choosing to join us and agreeing to share her information with us. She is trained in nutrition, naturopathic medicine, meditation, therapeutic herbalism, chakra and energy work, clinical iridology, therapeutic aromatherapy, reflexology, manual lymphatic drainage, Reiki, Jin Shin Do, acupuncture, homeopathy, shamanic practices. And she also has training in advanced memory resolution and trauma repatterning. That's right up our alley. Every single one of it, right? All of these alternative healing modalities. She's also a massage therapist, and her bodywork specialties include deep tissue lymphatic massage, foot reflexology. I can't say it this morning, JR. You're going to have to come in and bring it up yourself. Sinus clearing massage, acupuncture for muscle release and stress relief. You know, those headaches, the stiff necks, the stiff shoulders from being tense. She's magic. She also does Reiki restorative work. I am super excited. She is local to the Chicago suburbs, and she had brought her passion for healthy options and reliable information to her community through her natural food industry work. She had a store in Geneva, Illinois called Soup to Nuts, and some of you might be familiar with that. She's now an independent practitioner, and she never fails to share her knowledge with anyone who asks. Her slogan is, the more you know, the better your choice is. Let's bring JR Carmony into the show this morning so she can pronounce that word for me. How do you say that, JR?
Reflexology.
Thank you. I don't know why I'm so tongue-tied this morning.
Also,
good morning.
You said acupuncture. I actually do acupressure.
Acupressure. Thank you for the correction. Again, my mouth's not working today.
Hey.
You know what? I've experienced some of your acupressure, and it is probably, in my personal experience, more effective than some of the acupuncture sessions I've had. So grateful to have had the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah. Because rather than just pushing the buttons of the different points,
Mhm.
I actually try to train my clients to feel the energy move inside of them. And that brings us back to body communication.
There we go. Well
Everything that
done.
I do is geared to having my clients start to listen and speak to their own bodies.
Mhm.
It's and it's amazing how many people we've never learned. We were
No, we
never taught,
haven't.
haven't had the opportunity. People tell us what to do, and we have to make choices, but with not enough information to
Right.
decide what's best for us. So it's been an interesting journey, I must say.
Oh, I'm sure.
So what do you want to know?
Anything and everything you want to tell us about
Oh my
your
goodness.
topic for
Well
the
then,
day.
how much time
And
do we
you.
have? How much time? Um,
I'm going to interrupt you at 10:30. Fair warning, you got 20 minutes. Go.
all right, fine. So on this journey, I had absolutely no intention that this is where I would end up. All my intention growing up was I wanted to become a teacher, which the universe kept nudging me away from and into other things. But I did learn pretty early that I could pick up on what other people were feeling,
Mhm.
even when they couldn't. And I didn't know the name empath at that time.
Right.
And I would easily get overwhelmed in situations. But now, after many, many years of experimentation, trial and error, that quality of being an empath is assisting me in working with my clients.
Mhm.
Because if I can feel what they're feeling in my body, then I know where to go. I know what they need. And I know that sounds really crazy,
Mm-mm.
but it's not,
Not at
because
all.
your body remembers everything that ever happened to you,
Right.
good and bad. But being human, we tend to focus on the negative. And it will come up. When it needs to be dealt with, your body will start screaming. When I was studying homeopathy, one of the things that amazed me or really grabbed my interest was that in describing one's pain, we don't want to hear it hurts. It hurts like what? Does it hurt like a knife slicing you? Does it hurt like somebody punching you? Does it hurt like somebody squeezing you? And then I started realizing that we really are distant from our body. We don't really listen to what it's saying. And by the time we are experiencing pain, our body has given us 1,000 subtle messages that we haven't learned how to listen to. So if we can learn to listen, if we can learn the processes by which our body gives us information, we can be ahead of the game. And like you were saying, my neck hurts. Who's the pain in my neck? You know,
Right.
who's the
I
pain in my
laugh
butt? Who's,
the, the
what's
first time
making my heart hurt?
somebody told me, you keep running around saying you're a pain in my neck, you're going to end up with a pain in your neck.
Even if you're not saying it out loud,
Yeah.
because you're talking to yourself all the time. And most of that chatter is not positive.
Yep.
If we said out loud everything we're thinking inside, it'd be amazing how many times a day I call myself stupid.
Yeah.
Well, that was stupid. Well, what'd you do that for? Well, shouldn't you be doing that? I mean, constantly
Right.
harassing myself. But learning to be, if we want to achieve health, which isn't the same as we think that health is happiness, but what wellness is for us may be different for every person.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean we're all perfect specimens, human specimens, because that may not be our path. But we are the most that we can be at any moment.
Correct.
And to do that, we have to be in the moment. And this is where meditation comes in. When you learn to distract the mind so you can listen to the body
Mhm.
makes a huge difference in your relationship with your body. So, some of the modalities, and I use this in all of the modalities,
Mhm.
whether I'm doing Reiki or shamanic healing, or God, I love reflexology. Reflexology, what most people, it's not a foot massage, it's not a foot rub. It is actually connecting to the body information channel.
Mhm.
On the bottom of your feet, there is a map of your body. And for every new client that comes in, I love to do the feet first because it tells me, do they have sinus issues? Do they have headaches? Are their chakras blocked? Amazing. Digestive issues,
Mhm.
liver issues. Um, there's so much. There's
Right.
so much information. It's always astonishing. And I will say, for the most part, it seems like I'm psychic, but I'm not. I've just learned how to read the feet, and the messages are all right there. It's a great place to start.
Well,
And
you share with your clients information that you find in their feet, and we have an opportunity to consider the information you're telling us. And I remember from my experience with you, better than 95% of the things that you said I was aware of are an issue at some level. Whether I've paid attention to those issues and worked toward resolution, like liver issues and milk thistle and whatever was prescribed by my naturopath and my chiropractor. I think one of the most astounding things, and I shared with this with you once before, as a result of my reflexology work with you, I was driving home. I've had tinnitus since 2017, 2018.
right,
And, it amps up or lowers itself, changes its tone based on what's happening in my life or in my head. And I realized partway home, maybe 20 minutes after I left, I didn't notice my tinnitus. I noticed the absence of my tinnitus.
isn't that? Isn't it? It's such a
So
weird feeling.
when you talk about an informational map in the feet and the corresponding points in your feet to other areas of your body, it's so evident once you've experienced this kind of work. We don't think of it that way, most of us in our daily lives, but there's no question that there truly is a correspondence. All the other mini chakras in your feet that correspond to the seven main chakras, etc. It's amazing how much information our bodies do carry for us.
Everything.
Yeah.
They carry everything. And as I do tell my clients that your body is more concerned with keeping you alive than your brain is. Your brain is your computer,
Mhm.
but we rely on it as though we think it's us, but it's actually a tool. When we can connect with our body and listen to the messages it's giving us, we have so much more power over the choices that we make, rather than the brain redirecting us in mostly in doubt. Um,
Yeah.
right? I see the brain like my computer, and I'm on Facebook and ads are popping up right and left. I'm thinking, oh, maybe I need those shoes, or
Right.
maybe I need to consider this, or maybe, no, I need to listen. Do I actually need shoes? Is this anything that I really need? Is there something I need to listen to?
Mhm.
And it has been, just a remarkable process. And I love sharing with my clients. one of the differences, and I know people who have had reflexology and then they have reflexology with me and they say it's a completely different beast, right?
Mhm.
Many reflexologists don't share
Yeah.
what they pick up on your feet. They're just doing a pattern. And that can be helpful.
Absolutely.
Getting a massage where you zone out the whole time can be really relaxing. But if you want to know what your body's saying, then we need an interpreter. And that's kind of what I do. I interpret what the body's saying. And sometimes it's little things like who's the pain in your neck and the influences on our body. Yeah, trying to squeeze everything here into 20 minutes. we have our physical experience of being in this human body. And that's mostly what we're concerned about.
We're just taking a break in 20 minutes. We'll be back after that break.
Oh, good. I have more time. Okay. And then, but there's also, the emotional traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Our body remembers everything. I call them the traumas, dramas, insults, and injuries.
Oh, I like that.
I love it too. I had this experience once. I went to buy a bicycle, and I'm probably in my 60-ish. And we go to the store, and the clerk brings down a bicycle that is the same color as the bicycle my parents gave me when I was 10, which, by the way, was pink and called a pink lady, and I hated it. So here comes this guy I'm 60 years old. It's been a long time. This pink, but I couldn't even test ride. I kept going, could you find another color? I can't do this. And I realized how long I've been holding that resentment that my parents were trying to turn me into a pink girl, when what I wanted, was something more neutral, like a blue or a green or something more exciting than pink. And that still hurt.
Yeah.
50 years later. And that's a silly thing, right? That's a little thing. And that's those big things. So it's all in there. And sometimes we have to look at it and say, do I want this to control me anymore?
Right. Well, and to your point in your telling of your story and kind of the theme of the day, were you able, in your most recent experience with this pink bicycle, were you able to identify somewhere in your body where you were getting signals?
Totally.
Yeah.
It was definitely in my heart. I definitely felt it in my chest. Yeah. That's where the wound was. It was sorrow for not being understood.
Well, and thank you. I wanted to just take that a little step further and ask you to further illustrate how listening to our bodies can tell us what's happening in that moment. What's our point of resistance, or what's our point of joy?
Yes, paying attention. What am I feeling in this moment? And recognizing that. So say you're in a situation, you start to feel anxious. And then you can ask yourself, is this mine? Is this anxiety actually related to this moment, or is it something else? As an empath, you may be picking up other people's anxiety. Happens all the time. Or it may be reminding you of an experience you had when you were 8 or 13 or 25. And as we know in trauma work, that's not happening now, but your body thinks it's still going on.
That's right.
And unless we're aware of it, we're just going to keep repeating that same pattern. And it isn't that we have to, one thing's it's so much about releasing. I don't think it's so much releasing as accepting it is part of our makeup, but it no longer needs to control us. Does that make sense to you? Because if we keep trying to throw away pieces of ourselves, that's not really the point.
No, I agree. We don't need to throw away pieces of ourselves, because that has become part of our makeup on so many levels. But revisiting and finding a new relationship to that event and how we process and perceive that event can help us reincorporate that part of us that we may be trying not to look at.
Exactly. Thank you. That was very clear. So, so in all the modalities I do, this same attitude towards the body comes into play.
Yeah.
And no matter what I'm doing, I pretty much, unless you request me to shut up, I am telling you what your body is telling me. And the stories are really funny. I remember doing acupressure on a client, and I did many points, and then I got to their thigh area, kind of where the IT band is, and I put my fingers on the spot, and I heard, well, it's about time you got here. Crack me up. It's not me. It's just, okay, so fine, this is what we need to work on. But I had to work on the other things first. So funny. And sometimes, the other things that play in there is not only the trauma of this life, but past experiences. If you believe in
Sure.
reincarnation, if you experience, if you believe in, I don't know that we even need to believe because the science is there,
Right.
ancestral trauma handed down.
Oh, yeah,
I,
absolutely.
I have several clients that when I work on them, their grandmothers talk to me through
Right.
their body.
Right.
Astonishing.
And it's really not so far-fetched if we give ourselves the opportunities to look at the scientific information that it is there, but also to consider the fact that if all of us females are born with all of the eggs we're ever going to have, what material made up those eggs that we're carrying in our bodies? Our mom's DNA. And what
Exactly.
made that up for her? Grandma and great grandma and so forth. And so we are literally physically, DNA wise, all parts of our ancestors, because of course our father's DNA comes into play in this makeup of our own systems as well.
Yes.
So
And it's
whether
not
we
the physical
whether
attributes,
right,
which is what was the general understanding. You
right.
get blue eyes from your grandmother or something like that. But they have they have been doing studies that show that trauma can be inherited and
Yes.
handed down. And
Yeah,
it
the
can
rats and the cherry blossoms. Hmm.
yes, I love that.
I do
And
too.
they've also worked with Holocaust survivors, and they find that the trauma lasts 4 generations. So one
Yeah.
of my clients, whose grandmother speaks to me, um, was in a detention camp in Poland and quite abused. And it was showing up in weird ways by altering the personality of my client, making just things would just trigger this intense
Yeah.
response. It was but now she's, what's so cool is that she talks to her grandmothers all the time now and they give her information. It's so freaking cool. I don't need to be that interpreter. She's established the connection. Who knows what's waiting, in
Right.
your body to talk to you.
Well, and it's cute, when our little ones have, or as we get older and more aware of ourselves, and we have what most people would consider to be an irrational fear. How can you be afraid of something that you've never experienced? Well, there are several possible answers, one of which is epigenetics or
Mhm.
ancestral fears and traumas and experiences, and others are, again, potentially for your contemplation, past life experiences that you may be bringing with you on a soul level into this lifetime to be revisited and healed, not necessarily to be released, but to find that different perception and to learn a lesson from it to carry forward rather than carrying the injury forward.
Correct.
Do we have a question? Unfortunately, I don't have a name to go with the question. Don't forget, y'all, when you log in on Facebook to join our show, grant those StreamYard permissions so that we know who we're speaking with and we can speak directly with you. But it's an interesting question, and I think I'm not real sure how I feel with it. We're talking, I think, more specifically about just human beings in general. But the question that was popped in the chat is, do you feel this is what the Bible is talking about when it refers to ancestral curses? I am the last person to get involved in religious conversations and Bible-based conversations because that's just not my personal knowledge bank.
Um, yes and no.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes, in that we do carry forward the trauma of our ancestors. And I am let's say, in terms of curses, I am not, that's not my area.
Yeah,
I
I getcha.
have helped people overcome what they thought were curses, but were actually deep seated fears. And yes, it can be related to past, like
Sure.
with the woman whose grandmother was in a Nazi detention camp
Mhm.
and was abused. It was showing up in all of the women after that ancestor.
Yeah.
But, that I wouldn't call it a curse so much as an understanding.
Yeah. I
Once the
think,
understanding was there, it was no longer affecting her. So that's my take on it.
sure.
But I appreciate the perspective.
Absolutely. No, I thought it was a great question. And I think in a lot of ways, the answer to that question is based in personal belief systems and based in personal experiences. So I don't know that that's really a question. And well, and thank you for letting us know that the answer actually makes sense. I think it's certainly open to, I mean, we all form our opinions and we all do make our actions, our belief systems based somewhat on personal experience at some points in our lives, rather than just what we've been told or shown in our little, is it the delta phase when we're little tinies and we just absorb and we're sponges, and that becomes our foundation.
Right.
But as we grow older, we have the opportunity to make choices, and we can choose to shift our perspectives and our beliefs and how we interact with the world around us based on our own experiences versus just what we're taught.
Right.
And
And that takes a lot of work.
it
It
does,
does,
absolutely.
it does take
It's,
work.
yeah.
We
So
want things to be easy, and sometimes it's easier to feel that we have been done wrong and that we just have to live with it
well, sure,
than
because then we
to
don't have to accept responsibility.
take the responsibility to
Right.
make that change. But
Yes.
those ancestral stuff, we can change that.
Yeah.
And we can change it first within ourselves and in our environment, which then will affect our children, our community, and so on.
Right. So on and so forth. They say it takes a community. Angela, thank you for coming in. She just wanted to let us know that she's loving the discussion this morning. Thank you for letting us
Oh,
know.
lovely.
That's
Glad
awesome.
you're here. Thanks,
These,
Angela.
yeah, these are the kinds of discussions that we have periodically on the show. Mark Ehrlichs was on with us back in October, and he was talking about choose differently. We always have the option to choose differently. And it wasn't a wholly different context in which this this conversation took place. It's very similar to what we're talking about, but if we don't like what's happening in our body, we don't like the sensation, the pain, the ache, the
Mhm.
numbness, whatever it is, when we listen and become aware of what state our body is in, then we have the opportunity to utilize our resources to choose differently. I don't like that my body feels this way. What can I do to help my body make a shift? And thank you, by the way, body, for alerting me to this sensation or this thought pattern that isn't necessarily in my highest and best interest. I am going to take a real quick break. Grab your water, grab your coffee. We were going to see you guys back here in just a couple of minutes. We're talking with JR Carmony of Healthwise Holistic Health Services. I'm Deidre Sanford, and you're watching The Self-Care Show on WLTK-DB.
See you in a few.
Want to keep up with the latest at the station? How about catch up on your favorite shows on the go? Download the free WLTK-DB mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Watch, listen, and shop right from the palm of your hand. The WLTK-DB mobile app. The truth is here and now. Get yours today.
And we're back. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around and hanging out with us this morning. I am chatting with JR Carmony from Healthwise Holistic Services, just outside the city of Chicago, 30-ish miles or so outside town. I want to take just a moment and talk about that last thing that if you're watching, y'all got to see is the commercial for the haunted voice. And I'm in the wrong place in my camera. There it is. There is so much that goes into putting on these shows. And behind the scenes is our producer, Todd Bates, who has just one heck of an amazing individual, great guy, lots of fun to talk to, hard worker, very conscientious in everything that he does, and creative as well. He has his own show with a co-host that pops in later this week. And he's also a guest on my show that is coming up soon with our animal communicator. He doesn't make a lot of live on camera appearances. Most of his stuff is in the background, but he's really what drives this station, the WLTK-DB. He's got a great story. He shares it all with us. He shares his story of growth and the work he did, both personally and professionally, to get him, the station, and us where we are today by proxy. Thank you, Todd, for being here and sharing it. That book is available on Amazon. It's a great read. And I'm not going to spill any more of the mystery involved in that, but get your hands on it because it's lots of fun. Couple different formats. Just check it out on Amazon. JR, we're talking about all kinds of things affiliated with body communication, listening to our bodies. One of those things that we talked about were ancestral events, potentially moving forward in our DNA and affecting our thought processes, our self-belief system. And Angela also shared with us that she's telling us that she knows things that didn't even happen to her, she can feel in her body. Anybody else is more than welcome to join the chat with us on the Facebook Live platform, on the YouTube Live, and I think maybe even Twitch. I'm not 100% sure on that. Grab the app if you have a friend that you talk with about this story or our show today and want to share it with them. Grab the app, go to Podbean. You can find the replays there. So what other parts of body communication did you want to dive into today?
Well, I wanted to mention that with my clients, I do teach them a simple self-meditation that helps them get in and communicate with their body. And if you're interested, this Sunday, I'm doing a Zoom workshop on this in conjunction with a physical therapy practice in Aurora. So if you're interested, if anyone's interested, the phone number to register for this is 630-892-8003.
I love that you put that verbally for us so that our replay listeners on the podcast can also get that information because they won't have access to our chat. Thank you so much. One more time, if you're interested in working a little bit more with her physical therapy co-host for this Zoom event, it's 630-892-8003. You can just sign up and get involved in that Zoom.
The event is free.
Perfect. Even better.
It doesn't get any easier to step into it.
While we talk a lot about your hands-on services, not all of our listeners are going to be hyper local and able to actually come and see you in person. So I think it's fabulous that through this Zoom workshop event, people will be able to get back in touch with you through the ethers, as we say.
And there'll be more. I do teach a lot of workshops. I love teaching. And most of mine have been in person, but I really am branching out into trying to convey the same information via Zoom.
Sure.
So coming up in January, we'll be doing chakra balancing. Really fabulous for anyone, whether you understand energy medicine or not. I'm also going to start teaching reflexology the way I teach it, the way I do it, because I need a good foot massage and I haven't been able to get one. So totally selfish. I want to find that person who's got the right hands and the right empathy that they can learn to read feet also.
Oh, that's a great opportunity. I love it.
Oh, I know. It's really
So if you want to know more about JR, you can find her on Facebook. It's JR, just like it sounds, Carmony, CAR, M is in Mary, AN is in Nancy, Y.
And I also have a page, Healthwise Holistic. All my
Perfect.
events are posted through there.
Awesome. And they're
And
on my page too. I pick them up and reshare them for you.
thank you. I
I love it.
appreciate
Yeah, you do the same for me.
it. I do indeed.
So, what tips and tricks aside from just the meditation, which I know is very helpful in leading us to be paying attention to not just the moment but our bodies? What other helpful hints and you might you have to share with us about picking up on, becoming more aware of where our bodies are and what they might be saying? Because we miss a lot of subtle signs just because we're involved in our daily lives.
Well, as I was saying before, when you experience discomfort in your body, and I have changed from pain to discomfort
Mhm.
because we tend to, oh, I'm feeling weird, you know.
Right.
Well, on a scale of
I
0
do
to
it.
10, with 0 being no discomfort and 10 being excruciating, where are you?
Yeah.
And most of the time, the discomfort isn't that big, but it's with us. And so that's one thing. Gauge, where are we really at? Do we really need to get overexcited? But remember, this is your body trying to communicate with you. The other thing is, like I said before about homeopathy, what kind of discomfort is it?
Yeah.
It it may hurt, but what kind of hurt is it? That will give you information. Is it a burning hurt? Well, it might be nerves. Is it a clenching? Well, that might be muscular. So then that helps us to narrow down, and where am I feeling it in my body? But
Yes.
to know that, you need to be in your body. And probably the most important thing is being grounded in your root chakra. And that takes us into the whole chakra thing. But if we're not feeling safe in our world, we're going to be all over
Mhm.
the place. And that's why a lot of this work is so helpful, because it just puts people back in control. Let's say not control, in communication with their body.
There you go. Yeah.
And one of
It,
the tools that I have been developing, if you're familiar with the Hawaiian tradition of Ho'onoponopono, which is 3 phrases that you say as a prayer or as a greeting. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive
mhm.
me. And thank you. Um, I've been working with my clients to make that a body communication. So
Interesting.
it might run something along the lines of, we're at a point in their bodies that they're experiencing discomfort in.
Yeah.
And have my hands there, and I'll bring their attention, and then I'll have them say to their body, thank you for taking care of me. I'm sorry I haven't listened well up to this point, but I want to work in partnership with you. I love you, my body, in all ways. And
That's
that establishes this
yeah.
beautiful communication. Your body goes, oh, you're actually listening to me. Well, hell, let's get on this.
Yeah.
Very wonderful.
Oh, that is so cool. You know, especially for women in our society, the way women are portrayed in so many different industries in so many different respects. So many of us are walking around with these images in our minds of what our bodies should look like, how we should present. And we all come up with makeup, clothing,
Mhm.
etc. We all grow up with these ideas that society puts out there. And
Exactly.
man, at one point in time, if you didn't have an hourglass figure, you weren't attractive and you weren't beautiful. And then we got to, oh no, you need to be this body style to be attractive and to be beautiful. Girl, I grew up with an hourglass figure that my mama gave me. And there was a period of time when that just wasn't it. That wasn't it at all. Um, we've got Carlo popped in to see us today. Good morning, Carlo. Thank you for joining us. And Angela's letting us know that her grandmother taught her reflexology when she was a kid. So it sounds like Angela is really interested and involved and understands our topics of conversation today quite well. And we can sometimes perhaps misinterpret signs that our bodies are sending to us if we're listening through a lens. I think is my perspective and from my personal experience. If I have a particular emotion or particular mindset that I really don't want to let go of, instead of hearing a subtle body signal or feeling a subtle body signal as a blip, something I just kind of need to be conscious and aware of, rather than something grander than what it might be, then I can change that perception as well. So we have somebody else who popped in who said they're very in tune with their body, but they also suffer from hypochondria. And I can't imagine how difficult that situation must be for our viewer.
With hypochondria, I grew up as a very sick child. And I was seeing an allergist since I was 3. And it wasn't until I was 18 in college in a biology class that I understood that most of my issues had to do with my gut, had to do with the food I was eating.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a revelation for me.
Yeah.
And I find that hypochondriacs don't get believed because the way our medical system looks at illnesses negates their experience.
Yes.
When I was in 2nd grade and sick so much of the time, a doctor told my mother that there was nothing wrong with me and I needed a psychiatrist. Turns out I am hypersensitive to both dairy and meat.
Yeah.
Beef in particular. It's so, and then when I figured out how to change my diet, most of those symptoms have gone away. Even to this day, my mother will still say, I can't believe you don't have any sinus issues. Because all she remembers is me being sick as a kid. Hey, oh, by the way, I grew up in a German Czech household.
See, meat everywhere.
Milk with every meal, cheese on every vegetable, and cream sauce on every dumpling.
No.
I was sick as a dog. So that had to change. Yeah. And I had to be willing to step outside of my social conditioning to say, well, maybe I need to do something else here. And even now with my family, their body metabolisms are different than mine. Mm-hmm. So we just have to adapt to what is the best for us. But if we're not open to it, if we're not listening, if we want to just stay the course, this is what my mom gave me, and this is what I'm going to eat, then we're stuck with the repercussions of that for our whole life.
And I know that with all of your knowledge and experience behind you, you have a whole lot more knowledge beyond mine, for sure, about our gut microbiome and how it can affect every other aspect of our lives. Perhaps that's another show. But I want to also emphasize that scientific studies have proven that our traumas can, in fact, change our cognitive abilities.
Oh, good, yes.
There are so many levels on which trauma, as we define it here on the show, as in even little insidious comments, become so detrimental to us because they become our stories. They become the things that we tell ourselves in our heads. They become the things that we believe about ourselves.
Yes.
Through other people's perspectives. And those are things that we need to overcome. And those can very much affect our physical health. Absolutely. So I just wanted to take another moment and I'm so sorry that I don't know your name, Facebook user, but thank you so much for chatting with us and sharing with us your story. I'm so sorry that has been the history with your complaints. And I think that hypochondria is another one of those words in our world, especially Western medicine, that has such a heavy negative connotation that just totally negates patients and what they literally feel in their own bodies. Oh, you're fine. I've been there. I've had doctors tell me, oh, we don't know what's wrong with you. Really? Because I seriously don't have the executive functioning I had 2 days ago. We don't know why. I've helped you as much as I can. Okay, thanks. But it's still legit and it still comes and goes. So I feel for you, Facebook user. I understand. I know JR has shared her story about her allergies and her illness issues when she was growing up. Hopefully you can find someone who will listen to you and who will hear you and help you get to the root of some of these concerns that our Western medicine world just hasn't been able to help unravel for you yet.
And just want to point out that a doctor sees you for 10, 15 minutes, but you're living in your body 24/7.
Yeah.
If you are feeling uncomfortable in your body, if you're feeling pain, discomfort, disorientation, it's a real experience.
Yeah.
And you're not choosing to be difficult, but you may have to explore new alternatives to understand what
Mhm.
this is going on in your body.
Or
I
at
have,
the very,
I have a couple clients who are long-term COVID responses,
yeah.
and the effect on their brain is so incredibly frustrating. And
Yeah.
all we can do is keep promoting good health. But once they understand it's not them, it's not their fault, but learn to work with what you have and improve it. And we can do that in most cases.
Thank you. Liz, thank you for sharing your name with us. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. We are here with the intention of sharing information about practitioners, sharing information about different modalities. And certainly, we're not here to beat up on or bash Western medicine. It absolutely has its place. It
Oh, yeah.
saved my life. We know between the two of us, many, many people who probably would no longer be with us on this plane had they not had the benefit of Western medicine. Neither one of us are licensed to treat, diagnose, but we can certainly encourage you to continue to work for yourself, advocate for yourself, and find someone who will listen to you and value your lived experience, and then hopefully be able to work with you to find some solutions.
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
There is, I'm not bashing modern medicine.
No, I didn't say you were.
And it's, but there is more than,
Absolutely.
there's more to why your body is doing what it's doing than shows up in a blood test.
Right.
It's good.
And not everybody's blood work should be the same. We could go on and on.
Oh God, that's a whole other thing.
We haven't necessarily been taught, as you said at the top of the show, to pay attention to our bodies and honor our body for our lived experience. Listen to what our body is saying to us. Make a relationship, establish a relationship of communication with our bodies. And I think, JR, you've brought us so much new information and opened 2 new doors. We talked about reflexology. The whole topic today was body communication. Listen to your body. Have a relationship with your body. When it doesn't work, is maybe a little late to start paying attention, but it's better late than never. We need to start listening
It's
sooner.
never too late.
Right.
Because as long as you're in the human body, you have an opportunity to learn, to listen, to grow,
And to honor.
to honor. That's
Yeah.
good.
That's so awesome. One more time, do you want to share with us the details of your upcoming Zoom workshop?
Absolutely. I am blanking on the name of the physical therapy place. I think it's Physical Therapy Advantage, but I may be wrong. But their phone number is 630-892-8003. And it is on Sunday, December 11th at 4 o'clock. It's going to run about an hour, and it is a free event. And we're going to be talking about body communication. The name of it is Meditation Body Communication 101.
Mhm.
And during this discussion, I will be walking listeners through a simple meditation to get in touch with your body. And this is something that you will be able to do for yourself. One of my roles is to empower you to be in control of yourself. not to be the, your caretaker.
And your co-host for that workshop is Joe King of
Yes,
Physical
it is.
Therapy Advantage.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome.
Thanks
I
for
went
checking
to your Facebook page. Healthwise Holistic Services is also available on Facebook to you. That workshop that she's talking about is free. JR, thank you again for coming on with us and sharing your knowledge, your expertise, and your thoughts with us today. I want to thank again all of our viewers and listeners for joining us. I know, Angela, I think you came to us through YouTube today. I'm so happy that you were able to find us. Carlos, thanks for popping in. Jamie Lynn, it's always such a pleasure to see you here with us. Give me just another minute. I'll close out the show. But JR, once again, thank you so much for spending your morning with us today.
Well, Deidre, thanks for having me.
And that is almost a complete wrap for the self-care show today. Stick around tomorrow, later this afternoon. Seeing Beyond is at 6 p.m. Just prior to that is Psychic Hour with Kelly Brickle at 3 p.m. Tomorrow morning, WLTK-DB's own Charlie Lynn comes up with Chat with Charlie at 9 a.m., followed by Tyson's Gift and Brandon Wainwright at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. There is so much knowledge, information, and so many wonderful and amazing people available to you through this platform. Come back and join us later on today when the station comes back to life at 3 p.m. Again, I am your host, Deidre Sanford. This has been the Self-Care Show on WLTK-DB.